Coach, first of all, congratulations on the big upset against Porterville. Last week, whenever I was here and talking to you and the players on campus, the team was very confident going into that game. And several people told me the same thing. They didn't just believe you guys were going to win, but you guys were going to make a statement. And how do you feel about that game?
I'm happy for the boys. They got to experience that. It was a quarterfinals game that was huge in terms of its implications. A so-called 8 seed is what they said we were, going to a 1 seed. It's just huge in terms of, being able to advance and move on and having the opportunity to practice for another week and play for another week. That's huge. It's not too many schools around the valley. We're playing now, and we're one of them, and we take pride in that, and the boys are still jazzed up going to work.
Was there anything that you took away from that game that you feel you guys needed to work on this week?
Honestly, no disrespect to Porterville, it was a pretty dominant game for us offensively and defensively. If I had to say we needed to work on something, it's just keep doing what we're doing. Honestly, we had a relatively complete game in terms of offenses moving the chains, defenses creating turnovers, special teams got 2 turnovers as well. So we just need to keep at it. We understand Golden West is a very, very tough opponent, and despite their record only being 6-5, they're not an easy team. And we don't want to overlook them or anything like that. They're very talented, and we're looking forward to going and play them.
So in this last game, Elias Salinas had an enormous game on both sides of the ball. And this season, because of Joel and Christian, he kind of hasn't gotten the attention he deserves because almost every game he's consistently put up big games. But, either Joel or Christian just always maybe outshined him a little bit. But this game, there was no outshining him. I mean, he had over 100 yards rushing, a touchdown, I think 12 tackles, and 2 interceptions. And he's only a sophomore.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about how good of a kid he is?
He's a great kid. Pound for pound, I think one of our best athletes on the team who's not necessarily underappreciated or he shows up when we need him to. Going back to the Tehachapi game, second half we were trailing and he gets in the game and he ripped off a couple huge runs. And he's just continuing to be that change of pace back for us. And we're really excited, just for his future as well as Christian. We have such a young backfield who can equally take over a game and handle a game and move the chains and finish runs and make guys miss in the open field. So he is just huge defensively, offensively. Wherever we need him to be, he steps up and make plays. Last game, it was just a huge showing out party for him because he has had some big offensive games. I believe early in the year he had a couple 3 touchdown games rushing the ball. He's second on the team with interceptions. Despite being a rotational corner, he's moved into a starting spot since. So, he's just been locked down all the way. I just can't say enough about, his future. I'm super excited even for him to go out and work this week versus Golden West.
Now, I unfortunately didn't get to see the Porterville game, but from looking at the stat sheet, it looks like Noah McLean had another big defensive game. I think he had like 10 tackles. Yeah. Any other, obviously Christian put in over 100 yards. Anybody else who really stood out this week?
Another guy who's underappreciated is Wilbur Tovar, at least on film. We love Big Will. He does a lot for us in the interior. He's as tough as nails at a nose tackle, and he dominates week in and week out offensively and defensively. But he's another one of those guys. Noah McLean and E can make those tackles clean because Wilbur is drawing double teams and triple teams and slicing through blocks and fighting. He's really the the heart and soul of the defense, although he doesn't get all the credit in terms of the accolades. His name's in the paper, but you watch film, he's as dominant as a lineman as there is at the nose position, and offensively, he's the leader of our offensive line. So Wilbur Tovar is another one of those guys who is underappreciated in terms of the accolades, but he is not underappreciated in terms of the coaching staff, and his teammates knows what he do.
So you guys obviously knocked off the 1 seed, which was huge. But this week you guys got to go up and face the number 4 seed, Visalia Golden West.
Golden West, yes.
And I think they only have like a 6-5 record.
Right.
But they strength of schedule. They played some really tough schools, and that's why they got the 4 seed versus the 8 seed. From looking around, I couldn't find a ton of information on them, but from what I found, it seems like they're a lot like Wasco. They like to run the ball a lot. They got a couple of really strong backs, not a lot of passing. How do you feel you guys match up with them?
We match up relatively well. I think we have a similar type of offense, but our styles are different. They're a Delaware wing tee, old school, so they have a lot more athletic linemen, whereas we have those big bruising linemen who run downhill, and we don't have any illusion, or we don't try and create any trickery or any angles. We just say, hey, we're going to run here, we're going to run there, now come and stop us. And Golden West is schemed really well. They're slightly different. They're a little bit more of finesse in terms of their offensive line, but they play really disciplined. They play at fast tempo, and they really execute with, I want to say they got 3 solid backs. But there's not a lot of information in terms of their stats. But they are as tough as they come. I know they've hung around with Tulare Union and I want to say Mount Whitney, who's playing in the Division III semifinals, if memory serves me correctly. So, records are out the window at this point. It's you keep winning, you keep playing, you lose, you go home, and that's our mentality going in. We don't look at the record. I mean, it's nice to know, but we don't look at the record and say, oh, hey, we're I forgot. I think we're 9-3 and they're 6-5. We don't look at that. We just look at film and we try and put the game plan together the best we can to go out there and execute on Friday.
I spoke to Coach Perucci this morning, and his comment was that at this point, you know that every team you face is full of athletes at this point because all the other teams have been knocked off.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a very accurate assessment of playoffs. I know that, obviously going to Visalia, there probably won't be a big contingency of Wasco people there, but I saw this morning that there is going to be a Rooter bus that's going to go. So it's $8, I believe.
Yes.
For all the students that want to go. If you guys obviously love to have people there, right? I mean, I know when I played, having people cheer for you was awesome,
Yeah, I mean, the town's always been huge, but it is nice to get a Rooters bus. And we're going to try and get more Rooters buses there instead of just the one because Visalia is a far drive, especially for kids who may not have licenses and things like that. So it's nice to have the town, behind you. But just because they're not there doesn't mean they're not there. We came back, and as soon as the game was over, we felt the love, whether it be from the people that were there or players were showing me text messages, people congratulating them. There was, long chains of Facebook, congratulations, good job, boys. So, even though they might not be at the game, we know they have our back.
Well, I was at the Shafter game last week, and you mentioned that, and it was a surprise because even people in Shafter were rooting for Wasco. When they announced the score, people were cheering. Yeah. And, I mean, you had a handful of people that wanted Wasco to lose. But, on the sidelines, people kept asking, hey, do you know the score of the Wasco game? If they're winning, that's awesome. And that's, I think, something unique that Wasco and Shafter kind of share, and that, people really root for these teams. There's, it's family. You know what I mean? And it was nice to hear that Shafter was pulling for Wasco as well. So
yeah, I mean they're 7 miles down the road. So we root for Shafter. They're in our league. They're our rival. We root for them 9 weeks of the year, and that other week, we have a little bit of fun with the exchange rallies and whatnot. But I'm hoping Shafter does well in their playoff run. I believe they have Woodlake coming up, and I hope they continue to show the quality of the SSL because Kennedy's still in it, we're still in it, and of course Shafter's still in it. So I'm wishing both those teams well versus their opponents this week, and the SSL is a quality league. Don't sleep on it.
Well, good luck, Coach. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.